Let's bring in Sarah Fisher, media reporter for Axios. What do you think, Sarah? I mean, this company keeps defying sort of gravity, number one, and the odds, number two. Is there a point where they bump up against the addressable market in the United States? I can imagine that there's a huge unaddressed market internationally.
That's right. I mean, we thought that they hit that ceiling a few quarters ago when Netflix began to plateau in the United States. But the pandemic has been a boon for Netflix here domestically as people are locked at home. The big question we thought a few quarters ago was, could Netflix continue to capitalize on that growth despite incoming competition from the likes of Disney+, HBO Max, and as we saw, Peacock, which just launched yesterday to non-Comcast streamers. Now, investors think that Netflix is going to beat estimates for subscriber growth and earnings. What I'm looking for is whether or not it can sustain that momentum next quarter as the lockdowns continue to ease.
Let's talk about some of the competition here that has come. You just mentioned Peacock, which is the Comcast NBC Universal offering that is just debuting this week. Are those, and Disney+, HBO Max, others, are they eating away at Netflix in any discernible way?
You know, we didn't see it come from the past two streamers, and I doubt we're going to see it from Peacock. Remember, Peacock is billing itself as a free streaming platform. Sure, you could pay for a tier with advertising if you're not a Comcast subscriber, but that's not what NBC wants. They want to be able to sell people ads through the free version. So I don't see them picking at Netflix's dominance here whatsoever. As far as Disney Plus and HBO Max, sure, I do think they might have eaten at Netflix's opportunity domestically, maybe a little. But we've seen over those past two launches, both in November and in April, that Netflix continued to have strong momentum even afterwards. I think Netflix's biggest challenge is what's going to happen internationally. Now, we know third-party vendors like Sensor Tower said they've done great in India, a big focus of Netflix's. I'm curious to see what that growth has looked like after we see earnings today at the end of the bell.
So let's say it does well on earnings and subscriber growth, makes the numbers or exceeds the numbers. Is a beat built into the stock price right now?
I mean, a lot of Netflix investors would say yes. Analysts would say yes. Look, you even mentioned it. Its stock is up well over 50% since those lows in March. The other thing to remember here is that how high can Netflix really go? At this point, as I mentioned, I think they're mostly saturated domestically. We'll see what happens internationally. I think a lot of that price beat is built in, but we'll still expect to see a bump when they beat today. You know,
one of the things that has been a terrific boon for Netflix has been their success and their investment in the multi-billions of dollars in fresh and original programming. But that programming production has to have ground to a halt this year, right?
It has, and in a sense, that's a good thing for Netflix. I mean, last quarter was their first cash flow positive quarter ever because they weren't dumping billions of dollars into production and they were adding subscribers. But to your point, it is hard to increase original programming when you have production halted. Netflix, however, has still been able to put out hits. As you showed at the top of the show, Space Force, Outer Banks, these shows have done incredibly well. Unsolved Mysteries reboot for Netflix. So I would continue to see momentum coming from Netflix in terms of programming, despite the fact, as you mentioned, that they're losing some new things to NBC and others like The Office and Friends.
Yeah.